Mike Cole. How's it going today, sir?
It's going about as good as it can be going without getting to perfect. Let's say that.
That's not bad. So, yeah, we were just talking, just shooting the shit a little bit before we hit the record button here. Talking about where we're from. I'm from Canada. Most people watching probably know that. Kyle, you're in Brazil. What about you, Mike?
I live in Nashville, Tennessee currently.
Oh, so you're in the music capital.
Yeah, I'm in the country music space.
So, are you a country player?
I'm not. I'm not. I honestly wish I was, and I'm trying to with a lot of stuff I'm trying to learn right now. I would love to get there. I would love to get there. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people have had this answer that I've talked to where like they ask you what kind of music do you like? And when I first got here, I was like anything but country and metal. Like those are two things I don't do. And now I'm slowly starting to lean into country, but I haven't gotten to metal yet.
Okay, I see. So, you dislike metal, like you actively dislike metal?
I don't actively dislike metal. I have a respect. I have a respect. And some of the like metal that I would say I like, I don't necessarily like Polyphia. I don't know if you'd consider that metal.
So, did you say you don't like them, or you do like
Oh,
them?
I love them. I love
Okay.
them. I do like them. But like I don't know. It gets dicey sometimes when people are like, that's not real metal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but isn't that like what every metalhead says about another type of metal? Like that, oh, that's not metal.
And I feel the same way with like country. Like there's some sick players like Paisley, Urban, and I'm like, yeah, I like country. I like Paisley and Urban, and they're like, that's not real country.
Yeah, you get the diehards that are just like, nah, man, like, how dare you? They're pop or something like that.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
But I'm not opposed to any genre that has great guitar playing. I can appreciate all good guitar playing.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like I'm definitely in the same boat on you, same boat as you on that one because yeah, there's some music that like it's just so technically proficient, and oftentimes you do find that in some metal tunes, but I don't listen to metal, like I just like yeah, I do like some metal tunes and some metal bands, but I'm definitely not a number one fan for any of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel that. I feel that.
Yeah. So speaking of Tim Henson, actually in Polyphia,
Yes.
I saw that you had like you were teaching Tim a lesson on your
I
YouTube channel.
yes, I have been on record saying that I have taught Tim everything he knows and that he would not be the guitar player that he was if it weren't for me. Like that is just a factual statement. Um no, it was one of the wildest things that's probably ever happened to me in my life. I have a friend named Jonathan Morrison, and he's a tech YouTuber. And he reached out to me one day while I was at lunch with my buddy. He sends me a text and he just goes, "Hey, do you want to come to LA on Wednesday?" And I said, "Oh, okay, sure." And he's like, "By the way, we're filming with Tim Henson." And I was like, "What?" And it was just the most random thing ever. And like I said, I'm not like a huge metal guy, but I think just being a guitar player, everyone knows about Polyphia right now. And like
Mm.
every single they dropped, I would listen to, and I would just be like, ugh, I hate how good they are.
Yeah,
Like
it just makes you want to quit.
it makes you want to quit. It's all it does. Like it's great motivation because like you see the arrangement and you see like just how good someone can get, but also like you're just frustrated.
Well, I mean, we've talked about it on this podcast before, but where I tip my hat to Tim Henson and the boys is the fact that they have been able to popularize music that they also enjoy creating and it's technically proficient, because most of the time like there's an inverse relationship between the skill required to actually be able to play the music and
Mm-hmm.
then the amount that the audience likes it, right? So it's like the more skill required, the less the audience likes it, but the lower the skill required by the musician, the more the audience tends to like it, right? But with Polyphia, they've done both. Like I can tell that they obviously are interested in what they're writing, and it's a hit. So I got to give credit where it's due.
It's like what's the saying? I'm sure you guys have seen the meme where it's like, you know, rock players play 3 chords in front of 10,000 people, and jazz players play 10,000 chords in front of 3 people. Like you said, they've been able to turn that around and play like 10,000 notes at 5,000 BPM, like, and make it somehow like palatable and listenable for like almost a pop listener. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, and there's no lyrics too, which
Y-
is like, just to their credit, I mean, it's more impressive because usually what does a non-guitar player, if they're listening to a song, like, or a non-musician, what are they relating to? The lyrics, right?
Yeah.
Where are the lyrics?
It's like, yeah, like his ear for melody. I saw Michael Palmisano, because he does all those videos where he like instantly reacts to them, and he was like, deep down they approach a lot of their songwriting like a pop band. And it's like, even though they're doing all this technical stuff, a lot of their chord progressions, they keep it very simple, and that's why they're able to relate so much even without lyrics. And I thought that was really cool.
That is a good point. So back to Nashville, though. So are
Yes.
you from there originally?
No, I'm from Northern Virginia, like about 10 hours away from here. And I moved here exactly 5 years ago, like next week.
And was your reason for moving there because of the massive music scene?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I moved here because I was living in Virginia. I had just finished college. I went to college for communications, and I really had nothing to do. Like I didn't. I essentially wanted to go to college initially for journalism, which was whatever. A guy came to our college and he was like, "You don't want to be a journalist," and I was like, "I don't." And he was like, "You don't." So I moved back home with my parents in Virginia. I'm doing nothing, basically. I don't know what to do. All I know is I like music and I like recording. And my parents are like, all right, you like music. Your sister lives in Nashville. You should go out there. I wasn't really planning on like trying to be a musician necessarily. I really liked it, but like, it was just kind of a new place with some stuff I liked. And I took the leap.
So, and that was 5 years ago.
Yes.
And that's around the time you finished college, you said.
Yes.
So you like 27-ish or like,
Yes.
okay, interesting. Yeah,
Did you think did,
I
did you
thought
think younger or older?
I thought you were younger than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just started a band more recently, and our singer, she's this girl. We were going around. She was like, "How old are you?" And I was like, 40. And she's like, "But really?" I was like, "Take a guess." And she was like, 21. And I was like, "Dang, okay. I need to start growing the beard out again."
Maybe. I mean, I can't grow a beard, but this is why I'm doing the age reveal. I don't know how closely you follow my content, but
Age reveal at 1 million subscribers, bro.
hell yeah, man. And yeah, it's because, well, I can't tell you how old I am, but it's who knows? We got the
I
college degree in the back there, so
I I think I know, because I've been watching the channel for a little bit since the
okay.
like you were doing like the goal to like $1 million, right?
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
You know Brandon. You
Yeah.
done your research, sir.
So I think I have I'm not gonna say, but I think I have a pretty good guess.
Okay, well, I congratulations because you are well researched. But cool, man. Yeah, this is very interesting. Yeah, I know a bunch of people. Well, actually, I don't know a bunch of people. I know of like 3 people that live in Nashville, 4 maybe. One of them I know kind of well. His name is also Mike. So
Okay.
maybe you know him because like all Mikes know each other, right? Isn't that how it works?
Yeah, yeah. We all know each other.
You got like a Facebook group or something like.
Is he an Axist?
Yeah, he is.
What's his name?
Shit, I don't actually know his last name, but he's Become the Night on YouTube.
Become the Night?
That's his YouTube channel. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna have to look this guy up.
Yeah, so he lives in Nashville, and I talk to him quite regularly. And then I know of a few other people that live there, but I don't know them personally. but
Gotcha.
yeah, they're in the scene. Like Cole Rollins is from Toronto, but
Hmm.
he moved to Nashville. So yeah, people like that. Like I've spoken to Cole like a little bit. Like I asked him if he wanted to be on the podcast, and he didn't respond. So thanks, Cole. But
No, there are a bunch of those guys here. I mean, I know there's a couple YouTube guitar players. I know Music is Win. He's here. Now I'm blanking, but yeah, he's the main one I know who's here.
cool, yeah. So like living in Nashville, like do you know a lot of other musicians? Like, because I mean, there's tons, right? So are you playing much or?
So the only place I play is at church, and I don't really play out that much, if ever. I recently started a band, and our goal is to start playing more and more gigs. We do a lot of like indie folk rock stuff. I used to go to a lot of blues jams, which I don't anymore just because of time and other commitments. But I did find when you played out, because when I came to Nashville, and I'm sure, most guitar players can attest to this, like when you come to a new place, I just thought it was hot stuff, you know? You just walk into every room, and like I came to Nashville only having played guitar for like 3 years, and I knew the pentatonic, but I thought that literally made me like Van Halen. And so like I would walk into these blues jams like, "What's up? Slow dancing? Me too." And then I would just get obliterated by guys who studied under, this jazz legend and this jazz legend. And I was like, okay, I need to
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah, I think everyone should go through that experience though, and not just guitar, but man, like fucking in general. People need
Yes.
to be humbled, especially like, with the internet and everyone is not afraid to talk shit online. And, everyone could use some of that. So, I mean, it's definitely a good thing you experienced that. I experienced that as well when I went to school for music because I was the best one in my high school. And then I got to music school and realized I sucked. Rest is history. But
No,
yeah,
I'm with you on that. It's like one of the best learning experiences you can have. Just like getting on stage and like ripping a solo, thinking that you killed it, and then someone goes into some Lydian like crazy modal thing, and you're like, I couldn't tell you one note that they played, and I'm just like,
yeah,
I can't even keep up.
yeah. No, it's that's it, man. I mean, that's how it goes. But well, earlier we were talking about style a little bit. So like you said that you disliked country, but
Yep.
you've been warming up to it, and you might not be like the number one fan of metal, but you also appreciate that.
Yeah.
If you had to like put yourself in a box is like what I'm thinking, but it's also like too extreme because like, but you know what I mean? Like if you had to like say what your style is, because I was watching your YouTube channel, and trying to like put you in a box. I was like, what type of guitar player is he? But even though like, you know, that's too strong of a phrase because, like we play music and, we'll play different types of music and everything. But like, how would you uh, describe yourself in that way?
I am a John Mayer head, just another John Mayer fan who is actively trying to not be another John Mayer wannabe.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I describe myself.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, Mayer is a good musician. Very
Uh,
popular as well.
he's incredible. I love him. He's my favorite artist of all time. But I don't want. I had a friend call me out on it, and I agree with him. If you and there are a lot of people who do this, and sometimes it's great to study one player, but there are a lot of other John Mayer heads who put ourselves in one box, and I know a ton of people who do this, and some of them are really great, and you just never learn licks from other players, and you can only do one thing, and I'm like, I got to get out of this.
Oh, so Mike, how's your approach to this? Because I've been called out for the same kind of thing, not with John
Yeah.
Mayer, but more Scott Henderson,
Okay.
and yeah, like it's hard to break out of that. And so, like, what do you do?
I just actively like because when I a lot of the times when I approach practicing, which is what I'm trying to do right now, I'm like, oh, what's the hardest John Mayer solo that I can find? It's like, okay, get out of that completely. Find something that's almost like the opposite. Like find some my friend suggested, who's an amazing player, finding some Eric Johnson or finding some Tim
Mm,
Henson and being like, find something you're completely uncomfortable with that you can still like and still appreciate, but like don't learn any Mayer licks for a while. Learn all the licks that you're uncomfortable with that you don't want to know and really go at it.
okay, yeah, I think that's really important for guitar students to to have this in mind,
Mm-hmm.
because they're everyone who's improvising or even making music, like they just want to have their own personality. But if you get too like hung up on one guitar player, you won't sound like them. You'll sound like that guitar player wannabe, and well, yeah,
Yeah, you'll sound like a B version of John Mayer or whoever you're trying to sound like. And I do think, yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. It's tough. It's tough because like sometimes you get so tied up in your love for an artist and you're like, I just want to be this guy.
yeah. But there's something to it, and I've heard this quote. I don't know if you guys heard it, but like
Hmm.
people say that John Mayer once said that his personality comes from his failure on trying to be Jimi Hendrix. So I don't know if that's like an actual quote from John Mayer, but
Yeah.
like so it's a part of you, like it's a part of developing your personality as a guitar player, I guess, but you got to break out of that at some point.
Hmm. No, I 100% agree. And I think also like stylistically, like and technically, like you don't want to get too wrapped up in a box. Like you can get John Mayer and you can learn about the pentatonic, and you can get like some jazz guy and you can learn from the modal stuff. And like when you bring them together, you get like a whole new dynamic.
Yeah, you play stuff that no one's playing out there because you're combining stuff that you're the only one who's like combining that specific stuff.
Yeah, I went to one of the blues gigs that I went to at first. There was a guy because we were all doing the same thing, the BB King thing, and then there was some dude who came in and he was doing a lot of modal stuff, and we were just like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! What is happening?"
No, that's
Uh,
crazy. It reminds me of Robin Ford, who is someone that I regularly listen to and recommend to students. Because you're listening, and in a way, you can think, "Oh, these are good blues licks." Another blues guitar player, and then all of a sudden, it comes a bebop kind of phrase, and you're like, "What?" Yeah,
yeah, I love it. What's his name? Oh yeah, Matt Schofield. He does that with a lot of
yeah,
his like diminished licks. And I remember the first time I heard that, I was like, "Wait, what did he just play?" Like I've never heard anything like that.
yeah. I actually saw them live, like Matt Schofield and Robin Ford, like in the same night once in a festival. So I
Really?
just reminded that. Yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah, I love both those guys. They're amazing. They were supposed to Schofield was supposed to be here in Nashville. Somebody hit me up to go see him, but he ended up not coming. So I was sad.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, these things happen. These things happen, eh?
Yeah.
But I also noticed on your YouTube channel. So shifting gears a little bit, you
Yeah.
post a lot about gear, right?
Yes.
So are you super passionate about gear, or is there a part of you that just like makes those videos because they get views? Because like I know like gear videos just blow up all the time. So like
Yeah.
yeah, what's the story there?
I'm passionate about learning about gear. I I have never been a guy who's like a gearhead. I used to work at Guitar Center. Um and I've never been I remember seeing the tech guys and thinking they just knew 10 like 20 times more than me. So I'm not going to sit here and say that like I know this instrument like just in and out so well. Like one of the things I was joking with my buddies about is like whenever sometimes I'll talk to other guitar players and they'll be like, can you believe like the new pots in the 50s Les Paul, and I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like, I don't know. Like, I know about pans and cooking, like something like that. Like, it's
Well, you're a guitar chef, right?
yeah, I'm a guitar chef.
Yeah.
Gordon Ramsay, some would say.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
no one says that. But like, yeah, I don't know the ins and outs of pickups, but I like learning about them, and I like making gear videos that aren't necessarily just like, here's the new standard Strat, and it's got a something inch radius and a C style neck, and here's me playing some cool licks over it. And I think there's a place for that, but I don't think I know enough about gear to do that. So I try and like incorporate some random silly stories or just like some weird things that I'm thinking about, and like learn kind of about video editing from there and do that kind of stuff.
Interesting. Yeah, because we've talked about gear on the podcast before, and yeah, Kaio and I are both kind of the mindset that, like, you know, gear is cool and it's fun and everything, but at the end of the day, I don't think gear should occupy more brain space than like thinking about the guitar and like actually practicing. Like, you more, that's where the time should go. But sometimes with like really crazy, like obsessed gear people, that tends to be where it goes. It goes to the gear. You know what I mean? Which is, yeah.
I mean, I think we've all seen like the you know, the 40-year-old dude who like made 40, 50 years old. He's made a crap ton of money, so I guess good for him. But and he has like that $5,000 Les Paul custom, and he can play 6 power chords. And you're just like,
Yeah.
cool beans. It's
Yeah.
like I want to be like that. I think gear should serve a purpose. So like, I don't know, like, I think it is cool, like if I were on tour with, you know, hypothetically in some far off world where I get way better at guitar, and I'm on tour with some huge person, then yeah, I might shell out and get the classic Princeton, whatever they call it. But like, I don't know, on the other end, I met I don't know if you guys have ever seen David Kim on Instagram. He's a funk player. He's one of the best players I've ever seen. Like, literally, he's unbelievable. I met him at NAMM. He shows me the Humboldt Simplifier, which is like a $300 amp, and like, he's like, you got to come to our booth. And I was like, okay, whatever. I'm not really trying to do this. I'm just trying to talk to you and like pick your brain. And I'm like, dude, so like, your tones are incredible. What do you use? Like, what amp do you use? He's like, I use the Humboldt Simplifier. It's $300. And he's like, and I'm like, okay, well, that's for like the Instagram videos. That's for quick stuff. Like, he's like, Mike, I'm going on tour with, he just did Coachella with Sierra. Like, he's playing the biggest stages in the world. I'm like, what are you bringing? And he's like, I'm bringing the Humboldt Simplifier, and I'm going DI.
Wow, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I think gear can serve a purpose, and I think I also think about it the same way I guess I would think about some dudes with cars, because like,
yeah,
if you're gonna spend, like, I'm not a car guy in any way, shape, or form, and if you're gonna spend, I don't know, $1 million on a Ferrari, like, that's fine if you have $100 million, but like, if you don't know what that thing does or why it does what it does, and you just want a Ferrari to have a Ferrari, like, you're wasting your time, your money. And I feel the same way with gear. Like, if you actually know and can hear the difference between the Fender Custom Shop and just like the American Pro, like, dope. Like, get that piece of gear, and if you need it because you're going on tour with Mayer or whatever. But like, if you're just in your bedroom and you're trash, like, you know, you might want to get a little bit better. You might want to get a little better first.
Yeah, like the tone that you get is with your playing. People say tone is in your fingers. Like, I mean, it's in everything. Like the way you also approach it mentally, your mindset. Like, um, with me at least, the one of these things about gear is that I'm kind of lazy to figure stuff out. I
Hmm.
just do the the minimum amount of research because yeah, most of my time I just want to spend playing and practicing and getting better. And it's crazy how, like, I don't understand how people they test a pedal and see, oh, this pedal is crazy, does this, and with an amp, because if you practice for a while with the same gear, your playing will develop and you get better for that gear. So also there's just too many stuff, and people are sometimes making reviews and buying different pedals, and they don't understand what kinds of what they can do with that gear just because they don't spend enough time with it.
Dude, I feel exactly the same way because sometimes when I make when I like review a piece of gear, it's funny because like I'll think to myself like 2 months later, like, dang, I wish I had off put that review for a while because I know how to use this amp so like I know this amp so much better than when I
Yeah,
unboxed it. And I wish I could actually show people what it could do.
yeah, but
But
like, I mean, in your case, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, but yeah, like this happens, the gear kind of it doesn't change, but our playing changes with it, so
mhm,
just kind of learn new stuff. I don't know.
yeah. I would probably say that if you have a yeah, it's gears tough and there are a lot of people who are just addicted.
So those videos though that you make, like the
Yeah.
gear reviews and everything. So are you just going out and buying amps and like buying
Uh
guitars, or like how does that work?
no, I work with Sweetwater, so they send out most of the stuff, or if I work with a company, they'll send out most of the stuff. There's only been the only piece of gear that I've bought three pieces of gear. And that's I bought a Vox AC15, which was like $500. I bought a Princeton, which I just sold. And I bought a pedal for like $30. And like
$30 pellet. Okay.
yeah, it was a MXR micro amp. It's just like a clean boost. And sometimes I just kind of like sometimes like just being a YouTuber, I like the adventure of going out and finding stuff. I don't do that as much anymore, but like kind of in the storytelling aspect of going and seeing what I can actually find on Facebook Marketplace. And sometimes you resell it. You get like I bought the Princeton for like $800 and I just sold it for $950, which was great. Um, so yeah, sometimes you get good deals like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, most of the time I'm not buying it. Um, I think I would be as broke as you can get.
Well, I also think that given the size of your audience, you shouldn't have to. You know what I mean? Like you,
Yeah,
because at the end of the deal, it's still a partnership that you have with Sweetwater. They're benefiting, right? Like you're
yeah,
benefiting too, sure, but like they're also benefiting. And like I don't know if they've got you on a retainer or anything. Maybe that's not something that we talk about on the podcast. If you got like
yeah,
uh, you know, deals, non-disclosure agreements, whatever contracts. But yeah, it's like, they're benefiting, right? And
yeah.
yeah, so
And that's kind of the way you have to look at it, even for like smaller channels. Like if you're showing a piece of gear, like someone is benefiting from that.
oh, 100%.
Like, and that's something that took me a while to realize, just because like I haven't been doing gear reviews for I think now I've been doing gear gear reviews or like gear videos probably for 8 or 9 months. But before that, I was mainly just doing comedy stuff.
Yeah. Did you take any inspiration from Rudy? Because
Oh my gosh.
like, like we had him on the podcast, and Rudy and I are actually quite good friends. We talk very often. But like I saw your obviously like your older videos, and I'm like, yeah, dude, like what's the story there?
Yeah, yeah. And the funny thing is, I went to NAM in I guess April. I got to meet every other guitar YouTuber for the first time. But NAM was 3 days. and the one day I went was the day that Rudy didn't go. So I was like, dang. Yeah, I took a lot of inspiration from Rudy. He might have been the first person that I noticed that commented on one of my videos where I was like, texting it to my friends like, look who commented. Oh my gosh, it's Ruby a doobie. No, yeah, he's amazing. And I think it's cool because I think there's a line between like inspiration and like straight up copying. And I'm sure you've had this with your videos, people who have done like word for word the same exact thing you did. And it's like I try to, because like I feel like it's the same thing with plagiarizing. Like there are only so many chords. But yeah, he's definitely an inspiration there. He's one of the goats. But
totally. Yeah. And well, I've noticed it not so much on YouTube, but I've actually noticed it more with 52 Week Guitar Player, because pretty much every guitar YouTuber has a course now.
Mm-hmm.
And I see sometimes like they might not even be a YouTuber. They might just be someone that promotes a course online, like, but they don't really have a following, because like people like that exist obviously as well. But I'll see courses popping up and I will look at the curriculum, or I'll look at the language, like the marketing, the copywriting. I'm like, this looks pretty familiar. Like,
Yeah.
where have I seen this before, man? So, I mean, well, the 52 Week Guitar Player is, almost 4 years old at this point. So, it's been around the block for a while.
And I mean, it's cliche, but it's like if people are trying to copy you, you're probably doing something right. Yeah, I noticed that, especially with like when I was doing a lot of the comedy videos. I remember like there were one or two channels specifically where I would put out a video and then their next video would word for word, maybe change the player, but like word for word exactly what I did. And I was like, interesting.
So how do you feel about people that do that? Like, are you like, man, fuck these guys? You're like, okay, well played. Like what's your attitude toward that?
I try not to worry about it too much. I try. Yeah, I'm just like, do your thing. You're gonna have to come up with something original eventually, like to stick out. But I don't. I just think it's funny, and I text it to my friends, and I'm like, does this look familiar to you? Do these jokes sound familiar to you?
Yeah, well, I mean, you nailed it with what you just said, though, because, you can't sustain that, right? Like, you can't sustain a brand that is built off of someone else's, because the one who built the initial brand in the first place is obviously going to win that game.
Yeah.
Right? You're not going to compete against the like the OG, right?
Yeah.
So,
You're not.
yeah.
Yeah. You're not gonna like. You're not gonna start doing like this guitar has 17 strings and beat Rob Scallon. Like that's not gonna happen.
Or this bass has 69 strings and beat Davey. Although people compare me to Davey quite a lot because he helped me out. I would like to think that I don't sound too much like him anymore, but I don't know. I'll let the audience be the judge of that one. I mean, definitely not in the long form podcast sort of format. I mean, it's not even
Davey
close.
is a killer.
Oh, 100%. Who are your favorite guitar YouTubers or bass?
My favorite guitar YouTubers. Okay. Ruby a doobie, no questions asked. Yourself.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, no problem, dude. I love it. I also love your stuff. Not necessarily a guitar player. I love your stuff with Elise. That was great.
Stuff with the what?
With Elise Eklund.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. That was a while ago. But yeah.
I love Music Is Win. I love Rob Baker. I wouldn't call him a YouTuber, but Mateus is one of the greatest guitar. I guess he's a YouTube. He's one of the greatest guitar players that I've ever seen in my life. And yeah, that's. I mean, there's a million other guys.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, man, every day it seems, at least for a while, not so much lately, but there was like a solid 2 or 3 week period where every single day I was finding this new guitar player online that was just insane. I was like, oh my God, like this is every day. I'm like, this is insane, man.
I have a couple Instagram guys too, who I think are just like a level above next level. If you guys have ever seen Jude Smith,
Yep.
He's a killer. Shannon Lauren Callahan, if you've ever seen her. Kurt Henderson, sorry. And I met both of them, Shannon and Kurt, a couple years ago at a gig, and they're Nashville people too. I met Shannon at a gig. She opened for one of my friends, and it was a very small gig. And they were like, Shannon, you should go up and talk to her. And I was like, hello. And she was like, what's up? And she was like, so like, are you here? Are you a guitar? I was like, I love your stuff on Instagram. And she was like, oh, thank you so much. She was like, are you a guitar player? And I went, no. And then I walked away.
Smooth, man. Very smooth. Well, are you getting to the point, like, I mean, do you get recognized around your city much? Like, because your YouTube channel is like it's not massive, but it's still, you know, above 100K. So it's not nothing, right? Like, you getting recognized ever?
Yes, mostly in guitar spaces.
Mm-hmm.
In guitar spaces, it'll happen a lot. Like if I'm at a venue or something, yeah, and like when I went to like NAMM or like something like that, I weirdly enough got recognized when I was taking a walk with one of my buddies. His name is Noah. We were taking a walk around the neighborhood, and this dude looked at me when he was walking his dog, and he's like, "Hey, you're that YouTube guy." And I think that happens more often than not. Like sometimes someone will just point and be like, "You're that guy who does that thing," and I'm like, "Thanks."
Yeah. Similar situations I've been in myself, but it's funny because like I'm not at the level where people actually care to like get a selfie or something. They're just like, oh yeah, you're that dude. And it's happened in weird places. Like it's happened in Walmart. It's happened walking down the street with my girlfriend. It's happened. I used to go to this MMA club and train there, and it happened there multiple times actually. And it happened in my own apartment because because like my lights, like they're like not normal lights anyway. So like you had to call to get the maintenance people to like come change them. And so the maintenance guy came into my apartment to change the lights, and he's like, "Aren't you on YouTube?" Like, and plus you can see the plaque in the background. So that was just really funny because like in my own apartment, you know, I'm getting recognized. Like, but it's not very common though. I mean, I also like have no life, so I don't go out much. I just kind of like stay in my apartment and get shit done. But
do you make a lot of noise?
Yes. But I've never, like, no one's ever complained because, like, when I make my videos, like, I'm sitting there yelling at the camera, you know, like saying I'm pissed off, but I'm not even mad, right? Like, I'm actually being very loud, but no complaints.
Do your neighbors like? Do you go out of a real amp, or do you use like a Kemper or something?
Yeah, I use amp sims, so I don't use a real amp. I use a real amp for practice sometimes, but yeah.
Because like a lot of the times with the gear demos, like I'm demoing like a real amp, and so my neighbors despise me, like they hate me so much, which is why I'm trying to get a new place because I want to be respectful to them, but a lot of the times I do a lot of like producing and mixing, and that's kind of my like other passion when I have time, and I'm also a night owl, which I'm trying to fix. So if you can guess, that's a very horrible combination. So we had new neighbors move in probably a month ago. I've been in this apartment complex for 3 years now. First 2 years, I maybe had 2 complaints the entire time. These new guys, they do not like it. They will not tolerate it. So within like probably like a 2-week span, I think I had the cops called on me like 4 times. They're like, they will not tolerate it. And I'm like, I respect you. If there was some like drummer next to me, I would probably be a little mad.
Yeah, I think respect is a strong word. Like, I don't think I'd have much respect for those people, but I would understand them. I would understand their perspective, but also it's like, man, like you guys like are totally overreacting. I'm playing guitar. Like you don't call the cops.
Yeah. And the funny thing is the cops, they're just so funny. They just knock on my door and they're like, dude, you gotta stop. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
Well, it's tough, you know, because it's like, technically this is your livelihood, you know.
Yeah. It's like I'm not committing crimes in here. Like I'm playing guitar.
Well, the cops should have better things to do, you know. Like I'd be annoyed if I were a cop and like you're calling because your neighbor is playing guitar too loud. Like piss off.
Yeah.
You know.
It's whatever. But yeah, recognizing usually it's pretty flattering. I've had a couple people, and it's weird when it's like people that I don't expect, like kids. Like if I have like someone like 16-year-old kid who's like, I watch your channel, I'm like, wow, that means a lot, man.
Yeah, man. You know, inspire the youth. You know.
Yeah.
Make the world a better place. I find I sound so old saying we don't know my age, right? So I can't give too much away, but yeah, you know, it's just crazy, like these crazy teenagers and kids these days, man. Because like where I live, someone got stabbed and they died.
Shoot.
Yeah, it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, and the guy who did it was 15, and you know, it's just like this is crazy, you know. What can you do? What can you do? So,
yeah, kids are living in a different world, man.
I feel, yeah, it is different. You know, I feel that it is different these days with technology and everything.
Yeah, it definitely has its down. I think some of it has its ups. Some of it, yeah. I think there are more negatives than positives most times, but sometimes I do really resonate with the positive. I think like as a guitar player too, like the internet can teach you anything, and I feel like it eliminates excuses for guitar players, which is great. Like I'm finding that myself right now. Like I've been stuck in an intermediate, like in the intermediate space for a while and really trying to break out of that now. But like, especially like for the kids like coming up, like if you have 7 hours a day in your room and you have a guitar, like, and you're like, I just don't know how to do any of this. Literally you have YouTube right there. Go at it.
100%, man. Yeah, like you're bang on with the no excuses thing that you mentioned. And but something I also wanted to touch on just now is like you said that like do you see yourself as like an intermediate player, or like you're just getting out of that phase?
I would say
stage?
So. I would say so. Yeah.
So why do you think that, and how are you getting out of it? Because this is like a common problem for people, right? Like they get into that intermediate stage and they just don't know how to break through. So I just want to hear your story about it. So
when I started playing, I think I went from beginner to intermediate about as fast as anyone who's ever done it. And I don't say that to brag. I say that as like in college, I started when I was 18, and like I didn't do anything other than play guitar for like 7 months or something. Like my GPA was a 0.9 at one point, and that's an actual fact. But you know, you get to the intermediate stage, and like when you're a beginner, everything you're playing, you're pushing yourself. Like you don't realize that like trying to strum a G chord, that is pushing yourself as far as you can go. And then things start to get a little bit harder and you start to learn to strum. And I think the problem is that you get comfortable. Like you learn a few pentatonic licks and you never have to push yourself, which is kind of why going to those gigs, like we were talking about before, is super important, because you get to see what an actual advanced player looks like and like how long that takes. So how I'm trying to break out of that is and I've done some of these things before, but I've done them the wrong way. Number one is just I guess it's all in one thing. Wood shedding, but also wood shedding out of wood shedding stuff that's uncomfortable for me. So like I've woodshed before. Me and my friend did a thing 3 summers ago where we practiced 4 hours a day, every day, for 90 days. And like that was whether I wanted to or not. And I didn't get that much better. Like I learned a couple things, but I was talking to my friend Joe, who is one of the best guitar players I've ever met in my life. He plays like Yngwie and stuff. And I'm like, I'm practicing 4 hours, but I haven't gotten that much better. And he goes, were you really pushing yourself? And I was like, nah. Like I had a metronome, my sense of feel and my timing got better, play a few more funk stuff. But right now I'm trying to woodshed, and I'm just trying to play stuff that like trying to punch above my weight class and really play stuff that makes me uncomfortable, and try and get those, and try and play for longer period, practice for a substantial amount of time. I think I've heard you say it, maybe with someone else, you can confirm this. There's consistency is key. I wholeheartedly believe that. But there's I wouldn't call it a myth that like you only need 15 minutes a day to become an advanced player or something like that. Like if you just put in 15 minutes a day and you do it consistently, you're going to get better, and I just don't think that's true. Like you're going to have to put in the hours. And at the end of the day, 15 minutes a day is better than like an hour once a week. But the John Mayers of the world, the Stevie Ray Vaughns, they weren't just like, I'm going to put in 15 minutes today and I'm going to be great. They were out there for 7 hours a day in their rooms.
7 minutes.
Just, yeah.
You were about to say.
Yeah. They were there for 7 hours a day in their rooms, just going at it. And that, I'm not saying everyone needs 7 hours. I'm not saying being a great guitar player is the end all be all of where your value comes from as a human being. But I'm saying if you want to accomplish something, like most of us aren't Joe Bonamassa, like child prodigies who will just get it. Like you're going to have to put in a crap ton of hours when you don't want to practice. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, what I really feel is that
Mm-hmm.
we always talk that consistency is better than intensity. So like you said, 15 minutes a day is better than 1 hour once a week.
Yeah.
But like when you're really wanting to become a pro guitar player, you kind of have to go both, right? Like you said, you spend a while doing 4 hours a day, but like it has to be 4 hours where everything is well planned out, it's organized, you're pushing yourself, you're getting to know new stuff. So like we just gotta have both. We gotta
Mm-hmm.
be really kind of intense, and it's okay. Like you don't have to do this if you want to be a guitar player, even a good guitar player. But you just quoted like Stevie Ray, John Mayer, like you know, you get what you put in. So if you want to be someone like relevant, like or at least someone big, just you got you gotta spend a lot of time, right?
Yeah, I don't think people realize, especially like if you're like where I came from, like the level of competition when you get to a big city or when you're trying to like play for, and I'm sure Kaio and Brandon, you can talk to this, like when you're playing for someone, you know, huge, like that I've talked to friends about, when you're playing for a bigger artist, they're going to give you a set list of 30 advanced songs and they're going to give you 2 days to learn them. It's like, you cannot be like that. That's not going to come from, you're not going to get that with 15 hours a day or 15 minutes a day of practice. That comes from like mastering your craft and like being like, okay, I know this instrument well enough. My ear training is good enough. My technical ability is good enough that I can understand these pieces and actually go out and like do this.
Yeah. And what you just said is kind of triggering for me because, as I mentioned before we started recording, I have this gig tomorrow, and there are two songs that they haven't shown me the parts, and they haven't said anything about it, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I'll find out maybe today. I don't know.
Yeah. Ooh, it's tough. It's tough. It's tough. And I feel like that's a hard conversation I feel like to have with a lot of people. And I guess I say that because that's the conversation I needed to have with myself when I got here and when I started playing out. It's like I wasn't practicing for a long time. Like I just wasn't practicing. I just got to the intermediate level and I was like, I'm good here. I'll just work on producing. But the more and more like for me, like I think that a lot of the motivation is like running this channel and wanting like there are a lot of videos that I want to make that I can't make. Like I want to make videos where I cover the theory behind a Guthrie Govan song or something like that. Kind of like Wonderful Slippery Thing. But it's like if you can't play Wonderful Slippery Thing, you can't make a video. Or just like doing more in-depth licks when I talk about gear or doing stuff like that. I would love that, but
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could make the video, but it just adds a layer of credibility when you can also demo what you're talking about, you know?
yeah. And yeah.
I was going to say, so what is your goal? Like in terms of like no matter how outrageous it is, like, you know, what is the planned goal for you?
Do you mean in terms of like playing ability?
Maybe like
Or
all encompassing, like playing ability, YouTube channel, like career, things of that nature.
that's what I've been kind of trying to figure out.
Let's figure it
l-
out, man.
yeah. In terms of playing ability, I want to be at a professional level. That's been my goal for. I've been playing for 9 years now.
Can we define that?
Yes, we can try to. Um, how do I consider playing at a professional level?
Because technically, you can be gigging every week, paying your bills with that, and you're a
That
professional, right? So
yeah,
let's define this. Let's get specific.
probably more. Let me not say professional, advanced. Like there are certain pieces that I want to play. I want to be able to play Cliffs of Dover. I want to be able to play Wonderful Slippery Things and get to maybe not Roy Ziv levels, um, but like play some of these faster pieces, these more advanced pieces. And I want to feel really comfortable on the guitar, like playing some of those more advanced playing styles, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I'd say that makes sense. So what about because that was kind of a tangent, right? So like all encompassing, like career, YouTube.
Yeah, career in YouTube is tough. I think I go back and forth every day. And I think it sort of gets into like what like people ask me like, you know, you meet someone, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, uh, it, uh it's hard to explain. The way I'm looking at it right now, it's like if 5 years from now I'm doing gear reviews, I will be more than happy with that and I will be joyous. And if I'm still making the type of videos that I'm making now, just hopefully with much higher production quality, because I want to get better with every video I make. This is legitimately the goal. But I've thought about other things in terms of because I'm sure you've seen this. YouTube opens up so many other pathways. Like and I like you're not even really doing YouTube anymore, right? You're really focused on 52-week guitar player, other than like the shorts. But like there are a lot of other passions that YouTube has opened up. Um, Videography being one of them. It's something that I never thought I'd be into. Never at all. Like my first video that ever went viral, if you can call it that, I filmed with my Samsung phone. And like my first all of my first 150 videos were filmed on like a camera that I got at Target for like $300, not knowing anything. But then I started getting really super into videography, and I'm like, that's almost as much of a passion, if not on par with my passion for music right now. So I'm like, could this, hypothetically, could this channel take a turn where I'm like getting into like wanting to be like a filmmaker? That's a far off goal, but like wanting to make even like guitar based films, like short films or something like that. So I don't have a necessarily an end goal for the channel. I used to have like a subscribers goal, I guess. I don't really have that anymore. But like I don't have many specific goals for the channel. I'm just interested in seeing like where the passions I have kind of take me, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. The thing that is kind of unfortunate about YouTube is, you know, it rewards consistency, which, well, consistency should be rewarded, but like you have to stick to the topic, right? And,
Yeah.
you know, guitar. So like it punishes you for, you know, like if you did create cinematography content, like the algorithm would punish you for that. You know, it's kind of
Yeah.
unfortunate.
And for that, I would maybe even have to make like a completely separate channel because
Yeah. Well, there was this YouTube, like one of the guys who actually worked on the algorithm, he said in a tweet, he summarized it. He said, if it's for the same audience, keep it on the same channel. If it's for a different audience, different channel. So if we're following that, and I mean, I probably would if I were in a situation similar to yours, not that you're going to pivot like that, but I would probably, yeah, create a second channel for it.
yeah, it's and those are just random thoughts that float through my head. I mean, they flow through my head a lot. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm always thinking like, where's this going to be in 5 years? And I think sometimes you get a little anxious, and sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, is this all going to crash and burn next week? Like, because I was driving Uber before I was doing YouTube, and I'm like, I don't want to go back. Not that there's anything wrong with driving Uber, but
Well, but yeah,
um,
I mean, it's not gonna
y-
fulfill you.
y-
You know, it's like
yeah.
it's a job.
It's like, yeah. And I was like, I love doing this. So I'm like, there is risk in pivoting, but if hypothetically everything, keeps trending upward, I would love to see where this goes in different directions. But even if it doesn't, like I said, I'm totally fine with doing this, just hoping that my production quality has raised.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm sure it will. Like, because just from the evolution of your earlier videos where you were doing comedy to like the more sophisticated type of content you've been making recently, right? I mean, you can
Yeah.
already see an upgrade in production. So
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. That's, I don't know. My, I I have issues with it, but I do love YouTube.
yeah,
I'm sure
totally.
everyone does.
Yeah,
But like it's like being able to be creative for a living right now is one of the coolest things that's happened to me my entire life.
100%, man. And think about all the people that wish that they could do what you're doing that just will never be able to. You know?
I actually don't think about it that way. The way I think about it is funny enough. The way I think about it is all the people who could be doing it and just don't, and that makes me sad.
Yeah, I
Because
mean, yeah. Go ahead.
I don't know. I know a lot of people, especially being in Nashville, who I think could be doing something similar, but just don't put in the time, or yeah, basically just don't put in the time. Like guys who I think have talent, like all the talent in the world, and say things like, "I want to be a professional musician," and I'm like, "That's dope. I think you're a filthy player," or something like that. And they're like, "Yeah, I just didn't have the time to make a video this week. Ah, I just didn't. Ah, I'm just busy. I can't play gigs right now. I'm just busy." I'm like, "Do you really want to be a musician? Because I kind of wish I had your talent."
Yeah, you know, I think it definitely comes down to the individual and, you know, what they want because yeah, like creating videos and stuff. I mean, if they want to be, if they want to have an online presence, then they ought to be creating videos. But if they don't want it or don't care for it, then I mean, well,
Yeah,
obviously, well, who cares as long as they're happy.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, that's the thing too. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, 100%, man. Cool. Yeah, and earlier, like you were talking about like all the things that like YouTube has kind of like, what's the word, like I opened up, I guess, or like
Hmm.
interests that it sparked, and yeah, when you said that, I actually thought of something similar but different, because I was thinking about how like when you grow an audience, like you get all these opportunities that you just didn't really think about, or like, it wasn't really on the agenda, but like,
Hmm.
you've got it, and like you take advantage of it. Um, one of the things be like that, like a super obvious thing that comes to mind is like brands approaching you and everything like that. Cause like that's not something that I really thought too much about when I was coming up, and like I'm still coming up, but like, cause like I didn't create a YouTube channel to have brands approach me. That wasn't
Yeah.
the goal, but it's just like a cool side effect. And it's just interesting where like what comes of it. And I think
Hmm.
there's a lot more in store that I haven't experienced yet, or you haven't experienced yet, that's around the corner. And it's yeah, it's exciting, man. It's crazy times we live in. So
Dude, yeah, it's exciting. I'm hoping so, and I think brands too. That's just been one of the weird things, figuring out how to work with brands and how to like set very, very, very sturdy lines in the sand of like, this is
mm.
what I will do, this is what I won't do.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's so much power in the ability to walk away. If you don't have the ability to walk away, like if you need them more than they need you, it really limits your negotiation power. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
Like, like I joke about this sometimes, like with some other guys that we both know. Like a brand will approach and they'll hit me with a number, and I'll come back with them with like 5 times the amount, and like just to see what they say. Because like I also tell my other YouTube friends, because like and then they share information with me, and like we've got our own little system, right? So we can
Yeah.
like know what a brand is willing to charge, or like what they're willing to pay, I should say.
Yeah.
And it's just funny because I'll say something that's like 5 times the amount, and like sometimes I just don't expect a reply. They're like, oh, like, man, no, like the hell with this guy. But then they reply, and then they
They'll
come
be,
back with a number, right? So
yeah. It's crazy, and I think also on that other end, like for me, like doing gear reviews, I mean it when I say I won't review uh a a piece of gear that I don't like. But it's like, man, sometimes brands will come to you and they'll just be like, "Hey, here's a crap piece." I don't think there are many crap pieces of gear in the world, but there are a couple that have come and they've been like, "Here's our crappy piece of gear. Will you do a free review for us and send it back afterwards?" And I'm like, "No."
they've really asked that, like, send it back. You
Yeah.
kidding me? Well,
Yeah.
what are they? How much are they paying you? Like,
Uh, for that one, they were gonna pay me 0. And I'm like,
the disrespect. The disrespect
I'm
is
like,
great.
dude, like, what do you expect me to say to that? Like,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. No, it's not good, man.
but yeah, learning the business aspect of all this has been hard but cool. I think sometimes setting those lines is hard because like no one likes to be the bad guy. No one likes to be like, especially every once in a while where it might even be like a brand that you really like that's trying to get you to do something, and you have to be like, hey, that that won't work. I
Mm-hmm,
won't say this.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like, everyone will know I'm faking it.
Yeah, inauthentic, right? I
Yeah.
mean, man, if you ever want to chat about that stuff sometime, I'd love to chat with you about it, because I'm super interested in that stuff as well. Technically I'm a YouTuber, but I see myself more as an entrepreneur, because
Hmm.
like at the end of the day, got a business here. So
Yeah.
with Kaio. So another question that I have before we wrap things up here is, why should someone watch this video? Give me a title.
Why should someone watch this video? Oh gosh, this is a hard one. Why should someone watch this video?
Sell the audience, man.
Cause you're getting to see Brandon Dion and Kaio talk with the #1 Rudy Ayoub impersonator in the world.
Not bad, not bad. We'll run with it.
You can workshop something with that.
Yeah, I might be able to figure it out, man. And where can people find you?
You can find me on YouTube, Mike Cole. You can find me on Instagram. I am the worst Instagrammer in these United States. I don't even repost any of my stuff from YouTube on Instagram, and I think that's a problem, especially when things were first blowing up. I didn't repost anything, and I think I missed out on like a lot of following opportunities. But you can follow me on Instagram, which was a problem. But yeah.
And it's Mike Cole, or what?
Yeah, Mike Cole. Mike Cole.
Oh, so you're one of the few people that actually has their actual name as their username.
Instagram, it's Mike Cole AT.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, gotcha. Cool, man. Well, Guitar Chefs, you know what to do. As well, 52-week guitar player reopens for enrollment on June 16th. So that's coming up real quick. By the time this interview podcast comes out, it might already be that date. All right. So the link will be in the description to check that out. And in the meantime, that's all we got for you. So, okay, bye.